Looking back, I haven't done much of the traditional rant videos, whether it's negative reviews or just venting about a particular subject, so I decided to revive this little genre of my channel because recently I've been considering changing my buying habits. You see, I own a PlayStation 4 and 5, and for the most part, I buy digital games. It has generally been a more convenient way to play games. It's instant, doesn't require me to move anywhere or wait however long before the game gets delivered to me, and I don't have to cram my room with a crap load of merchandise, which is slowly becoming a bigger problem as of recently. But to be honest, I'm starting to consider buying physical games more, if not completely, because to be real, I don't think I feel comfortable anymore in trusting online servers to store my library of games, especially because if anything ever happens to my Sony account, either I get banned or hacked, I will lose my entire library. Let me give you an example. One of the things I've been meaning to do ever since I bought my PlayStation 5 was to jailbreak my PlayStation 4. And to be honest, I don't feel safe doing it because I have a genuine fear that Sony is going to ban me from their ecosystem. Now, full disclosure, from what I've heard, if you have the 9.00 jailbreak on your PlayStation 4, I think you can still log into your PSN account. The issue I have is whether or not later down the line Sony might decide to track down any accounts connected to a PlayStation 4 with an exploited firmware. That's the reason why I never connect my PlayStation 3 to my PlayStation account, which is completely jailbroken. Having a hacked PlayStation 3 is God's gift. There's so much I can do with it, and one of the best things about it is the fact that it's so much easier to manage your content there because you have complete freedom over what you do with the device. I can back up my PlayStation 3 and even PlayStation 2 games to an external hard drive, which is exactly what I've done because even though for the most part, I trust that I will probably have my CDs around me and still working for a while, the fact of the matter is, I don't know if these discs are going to stick with me forever. What if they get stolen? What if they stop working? What if they break? These outcomes are compel me to back the shit out of my game so that I can easily play them again on the same console or even on an emulator later down the line when my console stops working. I wish I could do the same with my PlayStation 4, but I am genuinely afraid of doing anything to that console, especially because I cannot run that in a non-Sony eco state. Without my account, the console becomes significantly less valuable because not only are a lot of the best features on that console tied to my PSN account, but also a lot of my games are there. So even if I can technically still play my PlayStation 4 games on my PS5, if I can't do the same on my PS4, then what is even the point of jailbreaking it? So while I admit I'm overreacting and would probably turn out fine if I installed PS4 hand, can you really blame me when we're talking about Sony of all companies, the same one that tried to sue a teenager for jailbreaking the PS3? And yes, I am aware that you can back up your games on an external hard drive officially, but what you fail to take into account is the fact that when you use an external storage on a PS4 or 5, you have to format the drive, which will reset its partitions and make it so only your PS4 can recognize the storage, meaning that if I plug this in on another device that supports USB, it won't work. I can't open any of the files there. That's not backing up games, that's just extending your storage. It's things like these that really puts a sour taste in my mouth regarding DRM present in a lot of these digital services. In fact, one of the things that actually inspired me to make this video was when I logged into Crunchyroll on Brave, and one of the first things they notified me when I opened the video is that in order to watch anime there, I had to enable Widevine, which is a DRM component tied to Google servers, and that my browser had no control over that plugin. It can barely monitor its activity on my browser. They flat out made that clear. Now, normally I would disable stuff like this, but if I want to watch Crunchyroll or even Netflix, I have to enable this and pray to God that Google's DRM plugin is respecting my privacy. And to be honest, I'm tired of this. I'm tired of just accepting a lot of these purchase policies that are present online. Stuff that you would assume would have some level of control and ownership given to you as a buyer, but in reality, you don't have any of it. It honestly feels like I'm paying them to control me. Better watch my language when I'm posting a fucking tweet. However, this rant isn't just about DRM because copyright in general has also been a huge pain in the ass to deal with. I struggle to understand how we can live in a society where people can look at these absurd copyright laws that have been retouched and rewritten over the years just so that old drawn out mouse can be kept from the public domain and continue to give money to the pedophiles in Hollywood, and somehow people think that these laws are all okay, like it should be normal. Here's the most recent experience I've had. I recently decided to play the original PS2 Yakuza games. For the first game, I mainly wanted to play the original Japanese version and not the localized release because it's terrible. Now for this, I have two options. I can either buy a copy of the original PS2 release or I can buy the HD collection released for the PlayStation 3. Now, the main issue with either of these options is that regardless of which one you pick, the most legal way to purchase them is to go to the secondhand market, and that's because neither of these games are selling copies anymore. They've long been out of print, meaning that if I buy this off of a marketplace, I'm not really paying Sega, I'm paying some dude on eBay. So in this situation, regardless if I pirate this or buy it legally, Sega isn't benefiting in any way. So why the fuck should I still be legally obligated to spend money on plastic junk instead of just downloading a ROM off of the internet? But you know what, fuck it, whatever, I bought it anyway, the order is on its way, and here's the funniest part, since I ordered this from Japan, I have to wait over a month for the item to be delivered. I have to sit for a whole goddamn month just so I can play the same game that would maybe take me a few hours to find it on the internet. This is when I eventually just gave up on waiting and downloaded the shit out of the PS2 ISO. I'm still waiting for the order and I will try it out once it comes in, but right now I'm honestly in a bigger mood to play this using a PS2 emulator. In fact, it's arguably better this way because keep in mind that the PlayStation 3 version is only in 720p. Meanwhile, all I did was a simple resolution upscale on the settings of the program and I'm playing this bad boy in 1080p. If I ever want to record gameplay footage, I don't have to mess up my desktop setup and add a bunch of peripherals just so I can record a couple of minutes of gameplay. Meanwhile, on my PC, all I have to do is open OBS. I am objectively getting a better experience like this and I feel no guilt. Why would I even feel guilty when I've already spent hundreds of dollars on practically all of the Yakuza related titles available on the PS4, including a game that isn't even available on my local PS store? For what? Because I didn't pay for the game that isn't even being sold anymore, even though I've already paid for both the HD remaster and the Kiwami remake? And this major problem of legality versus convenience doesn't just extend to video games. I pay for Crunchyroll every month. I never watch anything there. I am not wasting my time using this slow, broken site that for almost a month, if I try to open any page using the beta version, it would just go blank and crash. Nowadays, I only watch anime from the terminal using this amazing tool called Ani-cli. Imagine paying for a premium service that shows more ads than a free streaming platform. That's how bad things are, and I feel like more people would agree with this if it wasn't for this moral crusade people jump on, acting as if respecting copyright and trademark supports the creators, when in reality, none of those things actually protect creators, they protect the corporations that distribute their works. Copyright and trademark in some instances can actually hurt creators. In fact, here's an example. You guys probably know Jonan Vasquez is the creator of Invader Zim. Back in 2014, he pitched a pilot for a series called Very Important House to Disney. This show never got picked up and until this day has been sitting in a vault waiting to be greenlit. And until then, Jonan Vasquez can't do anything with it anymore. It's no longer his IP, he can't write stories for it anymore. In fact, a lot of animators, regardless of how big their involvement was in the production of a series, not only do they not earn that much to begin with, but after the contract is over, that's it for them. They don't earn anything from any of the projects that the network might kickstart with them. Craig McCracken doesn't earn shit from the Powerpuff reboot. So if I pirate any of his works, it practically makes no difference to him. But you know who does get hurt by it? The corporations. And look, I don't care if you're pro or anti-piracy, but at least admit that when you're condemning piracy, you're mostly protecting the corporations. There's nothing noble about defending multi-billionaire companies because they sure as hell won't do the same for their creative staff. Whether or not people pirate media or not isn't going to make any difference on the long-winded issue we've had in the entertainment industry where the producers and publishers benefit significantly more than the underpaid, overworked creators who fought hard to make the media as good as it is to begin with. This is a fact that is never going to change with the disappearance of piracy. If anything, I think copyright laws and digital rights management needs to be revamped. I think they gave way too much power to the corporations and as a result, the consumers and even in some specific instances the creators end up being abused as a result of it. And look, I like supporting the creative industry. Everything I just bitched about today are products and services I actively still pay for despite me hating it with a burning passion because it's what I feel the most comfortable spending my money on. But at the end of the day, if 5% of my money is going to the creative staff while the other 95% is going to the producers and distributors, then I think it's completely reasonable to expect decent quality and some level of control over what I want to do with the products I pay for. Do you want a good example? Back in December, I bought a voice set off of GeekJack, and guess what they did? They gave me a download. I can do whatever I want with the audio file. I can copy it to a USB. I can play it on any device I want. To me, that's what I call a great deal. Meanwhile, on Google, if I bought Despicable Me, which I did back in 2016, I can't do anything with this movie that I purchased digitally. I can't even watch it without being connected to the internet and signed into Google. That's a bad deal. So ultimately, the point I'm trying to make in this video is that if you ever see me torrenting Hi Hi Puffy Yummy Yumi, well, good luck finding the third season legally if you're living in Portugal and not Latin America.